Welcome to the Hidden Driveway Show. I'm your host, Amu, and joining me today we have a very special guest, Hank Rubeé. If you'd like to
Hey,
introduce yourself.
what's up? I'm Hank Rubeé. I'm an artist out of Modesto, California, and yeah, not much to me other than that.
All right, yeah. Well, to get us started, is there anything you'd like to talk about? Anything on your mind right now?
uh, I have a new album coming out Saturday. It's called Cockroach Music. I just wanted to promote that. Just say, yeah, go stream that when it comes out.
For sure, yeah. Actually, I have a thing in here where I say your most recent release as when we're recording this, and I guess that date's correctly now, because like when this will be out, that would already have released. So
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah, excited for that though, because I was with trauma response. We were playing with like a lot of sounds that like I haven't really heard you like experiment with as much.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of like a one-off little project thing that I wanted to mess around with, like get some more ideas down that I've always wanted to do, but just never really had time for. That was like kind of what that project was for, was to experiment a little bit with just different sounds and stuff that like I do in private, but I never really put out.
Yeah, like I forget which track it was, but there was one that was very like guitar centric. And it's not like you haven't used guitars in your music before, but it was like the melody of the song was like based around the guitar, which you usually like don't do for
Yeah.
your music.
Yeah, yeah. I think I know which song you're talking about. I think that one's called Violence Ensues. Yeah, that one's like a power violence song because when I was like growing up, I was super influenced like at first by like grindcore and power violence and like punk music and stuff like that. And so that's like kind of what I like really liked at first, and then I got into the rap stuff a little bit later. So yeah, I just wanted to go back to my roots a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So while most artists I interview on here generally make pretty like fun and colorful music, I'm very fascinated by your like dark and very like bleak take on like industrial hip hop or like noise rap as you call it.
Yeah.
Which very rarely has like a glimpse of color in the music to me.
Mm.
And it's just so unlike anything else I've really heard. I'll giving a spotlight to artists I think are really doing something like special and unique with their music. So, how did you initially get into making music, and who are some of your biggest influences for it?
So the story of getting into music is actually kind of funny. I used to really want to be a YouTuber, like Smosh and like all that kind of stuff. I was like really influenced by that. And so I was making like comedy skits for a long time. And one of them I did was like a joke song. And I was like, hey, that was like really fun. I want to do another one. And so I did another one. And then I was like, you know what? This making music is like way more fun than like doing the skits. Let me put the skits on hold for a second and get you focus on music a little bit. And that's essentially how I started. As far as like what I listened to, like when I first started, it was mostly like a lot of like the blog era, like hip hop, like obviously like yeah, like Odd Future and like all that kind of stuff was a big influence, like Earl and Tyler and all that. And then you had like Joey Badass was another one, and then like a lot of like more underground stuff like Ta and Rock Marciano, I think is his name. I
Mm-hmm.
always forget how to say his name. Stuff like that. As far as their lyrics go. But I would say Earl is the biggest one. As far as like what I'm doing now, though, like because I've switched genres like numerous times. But as far as what I'm doing now, I was really inspired by this artist named his. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this name, but it's
Oh, I know what you're
Blackie.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was like one of the first artists I saw do like because I always like noise music and experimental music, but that was the first time I saw it be combined with rap, which is also what I love. So I took a lot of heavy influence from that. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that like Billy Woods is an influence? 'Cause that's like I hear that a lot, like how you
Oh
flow
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Billy Woods was a big influence too.
Mm-hmm. I feel like clipping is also like a bit of an influence because I feel like they're
Oh
like
yeah.
it's so
Yeah, all
heavy
the
on like the noise based
industrial
production. So
yeah, all the industrial hip like clipping and like death grips and like even JPEG Mafia to a certain extent. Like all that stuff had a big influence on me when I first heard it, and I really like it because I was again like I never knew that you could combine them. Like I always thought there was like a rule that you couldn't combine them because I was always into like again like the Billy Woods, the Cause, the all that kind of stuff. But then I was also into like Merzbow and the Rita and A Trax Morgue and like artists like that. And so I just always had a love for like experimental music, and I always had a love for rap music. And when I found out that it was okay to combine them and not be like corny or like stupid, like I thought that was really cool. So I thought I'd just
Hmm.
dip my toes into that.
Yeah, and I know you're involved with like I know you're in like you play drums as well, right? And I know you mix for like bands a lot,
Yeah.
so like that feels like such a different world than like the music you make. So how did you get involved with that?
So it goes back to when I was talking about before, where I was super into like in California, we have a super big punk and grindcore and hardcore scene. Shout out bands like Mescaline Maniacs and Melandro and all those kind of bands. There's more I could name, but I'd just be naming names all day. And so I always wanted to do that, so I picked up at first guitar because I thought it would be easier than drums. But I don't know. For some reason drums is easier for me than guitar. I can't wrap my head around guitar very
Mhm.
well, but it was a lot of that, like just what I was like, going to shows, packing the whip full of all the homies and fucking going up to Sacramento every weekend for a show and like just seeing all that and seeing all the energy, like the moshing and the community that it had. Like that shit was so beautiful to me. So I wanted to be a part of that. But the only reason I kind of like slowed down with that stuff was because it's hard to find reliable people. Cause like I take music like very seriously. Like I'm a very like all or nothing kind of person when it comes to music. And it's hard to find people like that, especially around here. Most people kind of want to just do it like, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to do it just for fun or just for a hobby, but that's just not what I do. I want to do it like seriously. It's like my whole life revolves around music. Whereas like, again, with them, it's like a hobby or it's just a fun activity to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know like earlier you were making like Suicide Boys inspired stuff.
Yeah. 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 That was like SoundCloud era kind of stuff. Yeah. Suicide Boys was one. I was making a lot of. I had this old project called Gnarly Critter, which is a totally stupid name now that I think about it. But it was like you know what shoegaze is?
Yeah.
Like you know what shoegaze, right? Yeah. It was like shoegaze mixed with rap, and that was like my first like experimentation with like guitar and rap music and like trying to make like kind of melodic. It was more melodic than what I do now, but it was still like kind of noisy. And then I just dove right into the noise stuff later on. But yeah, Suicide Boys was an influence on me for sure. And I would say it was more like Black Cray and Space Ghost Perp and all that stuff. Even though I don't condone what Space Ghost Perp does, but
Mhm.
that was he was an influence for me too. And yeah, so I definitely could see why people would say it sounds Suicide Boys influenced.
Yeah. Wait, so when we're doing the shoegaze rap stuff, because that's always a sound that I've been like chasing for and looking for. I started doing it myself because I'm so like interested in it. Like, when were you doing that?
This was years ago now. This was from like 2019 to like 2022. So like
Mm-hmm.
in that pocket. And I could send you some of the stuff if you want, but yeah, it was like very like melodic guitar and like soft and mellow versus like again what I'm doing now, which is more harsh and in your face.
Yeah, because I'm sure you know like Dalek, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, because they have their song "Absence," which is like a shoegaze song where they're
Yeah.
rapping on it. I was like, this is crazy, and there's like nothing else like that that I found.
No, yeah, those guys are legendary. Those guys, I always wanted to see them live because they put on a great live show. But obviously, I can't because I don't even think they're still doing stuff anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy that you went from very like melodic based stuff to what you do now. Because there's like your music's so like tonal based now rather than like melody based.
yeah, definitely, I would definitely agree. I think it's more like I guess with the melodic stuff, I was more so. just kind of like trying to write a catchy song versus with the Hank Rubeé stuff, I'm more trying to build a world around the music. Like the music is the primary focus, but then you have the world around it that also like contributes to like the factor of enjoyability and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the world around your music, so I've been good friends with rapper and producer Cameron Shull, who I've actually interviewed before
Boy,
for a good
my
while
boy.
now. And when I first got
Yeah.
into his music in early 2023, I was super drawn to his almost like trap metal esque like take on industrial hip hop. But he'd been
Yeah.
making that music like on his own for like forever. And late last year, he was looking into like music in his area in Modesto, and he found out about like Tyler Forest and you, and how there's just all these people
Yeah.
making the same stuff he's making in some like in his random town, which was like really like bizarre to us that like music like that existed there. And I know you're
Mm.
super involved like in the Modesto like scene, so like how did you first get into that? And I guess what are some of the
Um,
like memories you've had with the scene, like doing shows and stuff?
let's see. Well, I first got into the scene through my boy Adam. He was in an old band called Willpower, and they were doing shows for a long time, and that's how I got involved in like the, I guess, rock scene. As far as rap goes, I gotta give it all the credit to. There was this clothing brand back in the day called BDF, and they really were the ones that showed me that we could do rap stuff and like not have to have like promoters or like anyone funding it or anything. We could just do it ourselves. BDF was like a big influence on me as far as like what they did with I don't want to say culture, but like you know what I mean, like culture of like Modesto and what like they did something that had never been done before, and I just respected it so much. Most of them are inactive now or have stopped rapping or stopped making clothes or stopped doing whatever they were doing, but their impact will always be remembered by me and a lot of other people. So, but the people I work with now, Tyler LaForce I met through my buddy Slam Yates. I don't know if you ever heard of Slam Yates, but he's a buddy of mine who was involved with BDF. And yeah, I met Tyler LaForce through them. I met a guy named Dave Won't Die through them. And then I just knew the BDF guys from running around in that clique from when I was younger. And yeah, I think we all just, because in California, there's not there's like a good rap scene in California, but it's not necessarily, I would say, like I'm not a trap rapper, you
Mhm,
know, like I'm
yeah.
not a gang member, I'm not a whatever. So we were like, our idea was to always like build something that like, hey, if you don't relate to this, come this way, because we're just normal people like that work jobs and just happen to make music. We're not like these super like moneyed out gangster rappers,
Hmm.
like shooting people and anything like that. We're just normal people.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of the shows are very like doesn't your friend host them at like his house sometimes?
Yeah, my buddy Rodman, shout out
Yeah.
Rodman. He got in touch with me. I was playing with a band called Sandlot Jory, and I got in touch with him because I wanted him to play bass for it. And then we played a couple shows at his house. And then he always did rap shows on the side. And then he asked me if I wanted to do a rap set. And that was my first, like, it wasn't my first rap set, but it was like my first one in like 4 years or something. So I was like kind of tripping. And we did it and it went great. And or at least I think it went great. And we kind of kept doing them for a little bit, and yeah, because there's no real like that's the thing too is like we all the venues here in Modesto, like real venues like clubs and stuff like that, are like $500 to rent out, $600 to rent out. It's like, dude, we don't have, again, like I said, we're just normal people working jobs. Like we don't have that kind of money. We got bills to pay and stuff. So a lot of the shows we do end up being house shows or someone's backyard or something like that, someone's garage. But honestly, like if you ask me, like I really wouldn't have it any other way. I really appreciate the true like DIY roots
Yeah.
of like music and that kind of culture. Like playing a big venue is fun to an extent, but there's something so intimate and special about house shows and just knowing that these guys are from the same town that you're from and you're seeing like a glimpse into their world like in like the purest form it could be. I don't know. I think there's something really beautiful about like the idea of house shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like, I guess what kind of person goes to those shows? Because I feel like it's such like a niche thing to be into.
It definitely is. We got a lot. We got a lot of like so in Modesto there's a huge hardcore scene, like metal and punk and stuff like that. And for the rap stuff, a lot of the people that come to our shows are people from that scene, just because there is a little bit of like that overlap of like, hey, I like hardcore, but I also like this. You know, there's a lot of kids that are into that. So a lot of the times you get like, I guess for lack of a better term, like alternative people. Like you get, you know, the black clothes, the gothic kind of people, and then you get like the emo kind of people, and you get the indie kind of people, you get the you get all those kind of people coming to the shows mostly. Occasionally here and there we'll have like I don't want to say like normal people, but like like people that aren't into alternative or like into all that, just like straightforward like kind of dudes come to the shows, but it's mostly like the alternative crowd that comes to the shows, definitely.
Yeah,
Mm.
and like, I guess like, how does a performance by you work? Because I feel like the songs you make aren't like designed for like a live like show. I guess like how are your sets like received when you do them?
That's a great question, and I always ask myself that with when I do shows, because I can never tell how people really do perceive it. But I know for me, like when I get up on stage, like I kind of just like black out a little bit and like lose it and just go crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's received well. And then I think there's some people that think I look stupid. You know, it's like it could be either one of those. I don't really have an idea of how it's perceived. People tell me I do a good job, but people tell you anything. So it's like, who knows what people really think about it. But I like how they turn out, and I like performing, and I like doing it. So that's really all that matters to me.
Yeah, I think the environment of like doing it at like a house show or like a garage show also adds to the vibe because your music is such like a it feels very like close and intimate. So I feel like that setting like makes sense for
Oh
it.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it definitely does. And again, like the music I make too, like no club or place is gonna want just down their fucking PA system. So the house shows and stuff are nice because I don't have to worry about people like freaking out about like you're gonna blow out my equipment or you're gonna do this or you're gonna do that. It's nice.
Yeah, I don't think it's a testament to like I feel like there's a place for anyone anywhere cuz like realistically like, your music probably wouldn't have a place in like the world if that makes sense. But like you and your
Yeah.
friends, all these people in your area like put something together to like what y'all do shows in a community even though like normally wouldn't be accepted by like most venues and stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that's like the beauty of it because we've always like me and my group of people like we've always like kind of kept to ourselves and like not tried to like I never like I'll go and support shows and stuff like that, but I was never like, hey, put me on the show. Hey, do this, do this. Like it's like, hey, if you want me on a show, that's cool. If you don't, that's also cool. So
Mhm.
it's very fuck. I forgot what the point I was trying to make with that was. Um, well, whatever. It's yeah. We don't really like reach out too much outside of our tight knit community. So it's nice that we're able to get like shows and people come out and like people recognize it, and it's like we didn't have to like leave our friends behind or anything like that.
Yeah, plus they're so frequent too, which I feel like most people would like kill for. Like most small artists would like love to be able to do like what you're
Oh yeah.
doing.
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I know, and we've had a lot of people like we've had a lot of people reach out trying to like get on shows and get on that, but again, we're a little selective about who we pick just because we don't want to ruin like the friendships that we have, and like I feel like when you add too many people, things get a little crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess also like, what are some like memorable experiences you've had like at these shows?
Oh man. Let's see. Oh well, one time this was a band one, but one time we were playing in my old band Stanlaw Jory, and I was playing drums, and as I was playing, one of the cymbal stands snapped, and the cymbal like fell and hit my knee, and my buddy Izzy was right next to me, and he was picking it up, and so he was holding the broken cymbal stand while I was playing it so I could finish the song. But it was just so funny seeing him hold the cymbal, like he was holding it like this, just in the corner, and I was like just hitting the cymbal while he's holding it. It was just, I don't know, that moment was really funny to me because it was just like, man, this couldn't be more grassroots DIY than this, man. This is what it's about.
Yeah, I saw Weather Day recently, and they were playing with like broken cymbals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That happens a lot because you crack your cymbals if you hit them too hard, they'll crack. And so but cymbals are also, racks. So it's like you kind of got to just make do with what you got. I have all my cymbals right now. I have a lot of cracks in them right now. I got to get new ones, but you make do with what you got.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like, how do you say the scene has influenced your music? Because I imagine having that community like works its way into your own stuff too.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's definitely it's influenced a lot more of like I guess for lack of a better term, it's made me more like competitive, I guess. Like it makes me want to dive deeper into experimentation and dive deeper into sound design and the world of sound just because a lot of people in the scene will say, "Oh, like this person's different. He doesn't sound like anybody out here," and that's great. But I want to be in a position where they say, "Oh, Hank Rubeé is different. He doesn't sound like nobody at all. Like he doesn't sound like anybody famous. He doesn't sound like anybody local. He doesn't sound like anybody in the middle." Like that's where I want to be, and that's what the local scene really taught me is like you want to go global with it, not local, just stay local. I want to go global and be you know, I mean, I know it sounds kind of bad to say I want to be a famous artist, but I do want, I think we all want that in a certain degree, is like to be recognized for our work. And that's what I really want is just to be recognized as someone who did something against the grain, like basically saying I did it my way.
Yeah, yeah. Like when I've explained your music to my friends, usually I'll say it's like, and this is like a big like oversimplification, but it's like if Billy Woods made like industrial like hip hop is like what I say as like the like hook. But obviously, it's
Yeah.
like so much more than just that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good description though. Because I mean, to be compared to Billy Woods is just awesome. Like I love that. But a lot of people say too, it reminds them of like if Brockhampton made industrial music too, which that one I don't see completely. But again, it's all up to the listener.
Yeah, sure. Because how you flow is like just feels very like stream of consciousness. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's just kind of like spilling out. It's like very like very choppy and very like because what I always wanted to go into when I was making the Hank Rubeé project is I always marketed it as like the destruction of hip hop. So basically, take all these hip hop elements that have quote unquote rules to follow and flip them on their ass. That's why, like, when you hear songs like "You Showed Me How to Climb a Tree" and like "Heart on Your Sleeve" and those kind of songs, I use something called the anti-flow, or at least that's what I call it, the anti-flow, where it's like very like not on beat but still on beat. And I believe that was pioneered by like Billy Woods and like all those kind of people where it's like the rapping off beat but still in the pocket. That's what that shit is so dope to me because it's like it just destroys what the tradition is as opposed to something new. Like it takes everything that was, I like it when the rules are broken. Like when you learn the rules and then break the rules. That to me is like what makes some of the best art ever. Like that's what Picasso did, and like what Pollock did, and like all those famous abstract painters. And then like that's what like tons of famous rappers did, and tons of famous artists or musicians did. And I always wanted to be that musician that came in and broke the rules, and not only broke the rules of hip hop, but turned hip hop into a new fast, like a new genre basically, and reintroduced it to you as hip hop. That's how I always wanted to be perceived as.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with like step team beats? Do you know what those are?
I don't. Step team beats?
Yeah, no, so it's like it's kind of like what you were saying, but as like for production instead. So like what they do is none of the drums are on a consistent like rhythm or anything, but like there's still like a flow to it. But like they don't hit like on
Yeah.
the three or anything. Like I can send one real quick I did recently so you get an idea. But it's like
Yeah, yeah. Send it to me.
um yeah, like the drums aren't hitting consistently, but there's still like it still makes sense when you listen to it, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, heck yeah. I'll listen to that after this. That sounds really cool. That sounds like something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, like, but learning about that has completely just like changed the way I produce now because it's like there's no rules to like anything anymore.
No, yeah.
Cause like it was so great to me that like oh the snare has to be on the three or on the two and the four, and you put all the stuff around it. But now it's like you can put it anywhere as long as you build
Yeah.
around that, it'll somehow like make sense.
Yeah, and that's what's beautiful is again, like I was saying, it's like it reintroduces the concept of just what you think music is, and it invites you to partake in something a little bit more. I don't want to say experimental because I feel like I said experimental a lot today, but like more I don't know, more free flowing, I guess. I don't know
Hmm.
how to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then is it also true that you went to high school with like Tyler Force and Dave Won't Die?
No, I didn't. I went to Dave Won't Die is quite a bit older than me. He's 27. I'm 22, and Tyler LaForce and I are the same age. I think we might have went to middle school together, but I may be wrong on that. But I met them. If we did, I didn't know them. I met them like way after I was out of high school.
Oh, because that's what Cameron told me, like going into this. So I thought I was gonna bring that up. Like, what? How did you know that? But I guess that just wasn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Oh
right. That
no, yeah,
wasn't
you're
true.
good. Man. No, I went to high. Who did I? I went to high school with well, actually, I went to elementary, middle, and high school with my buddy Enoli. I don't know if you know him, ENXLI. No, yeah, he's another member of the team, but I've known him since I was like in the fifth grade, and we've been doing our thing ever since. We actually got into music, like kind of like I got him into making music, and then we kind of just went in our own ways for a little bit, and then we linked back up together like 2 years ago.
Yeah. I'm also curious. Like, does like your family like know about the music you make? Because I'm curious what they think about it.
Yeah, they're not, crazy about it. My family are like very this isn't like a knock towards anybody. I don't care what you practice or do whatever, but they're very like religious, like
Mm-hmm.
conservative kind of people. And so when they hear it, they think it's the devil, basically,
Yeah.
it's uh, you're preaching bad things and you're doing this and you're doing that. And that's fine, they can have that opinion, but I don't think they're very fond of it now.
I mean, yeah. Like my parents like hate rap, so the fact that I work with like rappers all the time is very like off-putting to them.
Yeah,
So they
it's
just
the
don't
same.
get it.
Yeah, it's just different eras, dude. Like my dad grew up with the Led Zeppelins and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, well, it's been 60 years since Led Zeppelin has done anything. So, it's time to realize that that's not what the status quo is anymore.
Yeah, but I feel like you have to like develop an ear for it, and they're just not willing to do that. Like I think I
No,
showed my dad like new job as he said it was too violent. Like like you're just not
yeah.
listening at that point.
No, yeah, you're not listening. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on though. So to prep for this interview, I listened to your nearly 2.5 hour long compilation discography, which
Yeah.
featured I don't know if it was all the music you've like ever put out or if it's just like a certain period of time, but
Certain period of
period
time.
of time, okay. But I really enjoyed it and it was like seeing like different pieces of like a puzzle like come together to like really show like who
Mhm.
you were because I had listened to some of your stuff, but that was my first full like dive into like your own work. But I think my favorite song off of that, and probably my favorite song by you in general, was "We'll Pretend for Today,"
Yeah.
because I know I said earlier that your music very rarely has like color to me, but with that it feels very like blue and purple and like very just like spacey and almost like
Yeah.
you're like drifting off into something else.
Mhm.
So
That's sick that you said that, by the way.
yeah, this might be a kind of hard question to answer because it's like a nothing that you really think about. But I know you create like a very active imagination just based off the music you make. And given that the song's title is "We'll Pretend for Today," what are things that you like daydream about?
Oh man, that's a great question. Oh shit, dude. Damn. That's a great question. What do I daydream? I guess I don't know if this is considered daydreaming, but I like to listen to music and pretend I'm in a fake music video.
I
Like
do
if
that
no one's
too. Yeah.
yeah, no one's around, I'm just in my room and I'm like pretending, looking in the mirror, pretending I'm in a fake music video. That shit's hella fun. Uh, I guess that could be considered something like that. But as far as like daydreaming goes, I mean, I always daydream about like what I'm gonna do like music wise, like I think like oh like I daydream about this music video or this album or this song or this whatever. I daydream about that stuff. Yeah, I think that's about all I have for that question, man. That's a tough question. That's a great question though.
Yeah. Or maybe like if you look like further back in the past and you're in like school and stuff, because I feel like that's where it was the most prevalent for me when I like wanted to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let me think about that. Like yeah, back when I was in school and stuff, and like a young kid, I always daydreamed just like I always wanted to be in like a Dr. Seuss book or something like that. Like I always wanted to be like in some like cartoon world, like doing some like animated type of thing. Like one of my like I was always dating one of my favorite cartoons ever was Where the Wild Things Are,
Mm-hmm.
or not cartoons, but movie and book or whatever. And I always dreamt about that, like what it would be like to like draw characters and like have them come to life and like be in their world and kind of like escapism almost like just escape from like the real world and like all the crap that is in the real world and just like manage to get into the fantasy world and live like a non-responsible not having responsibilities and just like eating grapes, you know.
Yeah, I actually kind of have a similar thing now that I think about it, where it was like whenever I'd watch like a cartoon, like I'd be binging one, I would always like for like a good week when I picture my thoughts, it would be like in the art style of like that show for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great piece of media, man.
Like I remember when I was in the hospital in 2017, I was watching one of like The Simpsons, and there was some
Yeah.
balloon in my room that looked like The Simpsons also. Like, it looked like Marge, and like I would picture everyone like yellow in my head like the entire time I was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, dude. I used to do stuff like that too. I used to Did you ever watch Harold and the Purple Crayon?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used to like I used to have like crayons when I was a kid and I would pretend I was doing stuff like that and like drawing again like worlds to go into and just to escape from the fact that life sucks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you ever like make up video games in your head? Because I'll do that a lot too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I do stuff like that too. Which is kind of weird because I never got super into video games. I was never like a big video game guy, but I would always like draw out like my own cartoons, my own movies, my own video games, my own like pieces of media like that just to like do it because it was like fun just thinking about being in that world.
Yeah, I know. I would always like Are you familiar with Disney Infinity at all?
I know what that is. I don't know anything about it though.
Yeah, I played that when I was younger, and in class, I would always think about like 'cause they had like a level editor in that, and I was thinking like,
Oh,
what
okay.
level can I make that I could do like this thing with? I always be thinking of that in class.
Oh, hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's cool about video games like that. Like I like the again, I don't play any of them, but from what I've heard like be told to me, like the video games that allow you to kind of be a little bit more creative with like the design of them seem more appealing to me than like just like Call of Duty or something like that, you
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
I also feel like a lot of our best ideas are when we're daydreaming and like actively like thinking. Because I feel
Oh,
like I kind of lost art now is like being bored almost. Because
yeah.
like we have access to literally everything ever at all times. So like our
Yeah.
brain isn't like idle like that as often. I think that's
No,
why
yeah.
people are like they get their best like ideas when they're like in the shower and stuff. Because that's like the one time where you're not like doing anything else.
Yeah, it's unhealthy for your brain to just be stimulated like that all the time. Like I know too when I get my best ideas too when I'm at work. Like if I'm just at work or whatever, like and I'm just sitting there or doing like some boring task, my head will go off and like think about like song ideas and like art ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like I have that too, except when it's so annoying because it's like as I'm going to sleep, I'll get these crazy ideas and I'll formulate like entire songs in my head, and then I just lose it because I like before I go to
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah. That's why you got to write them down, man. You got to like write before you go to sleep. You got to like write it down somehow, whether that's like a voice memo or like actually writing it down. You got to figure it out because sometimes those ideas are like the best ideas ever.
Yeah. Do you like? I know some people do, but do you ever like make music like in your dreams at all?
No, I have like very weird dreams, like and they're not weird as in like scary, nightmare-y, but they're weird as in like how realistic they are, I guess. So like I get my dreams are like very like I'm just talking with someone. Like it's not like this what we're doing right now could
Mm-hmm.
literally be one of my like it's literally like not it's not anything fancy or special. So usually music doesn't come up. Now, sometimes it will, but it's in like a different way than like making music. It'll be like I'm playing a show and I'm naked in front of like 1,000 people, it's like something like that. But as far as making music, no, I don't ever make it in my dreams.
Yeah, I don't really either, but sometimes I'll have dreams where I'm playing instruments that I can't play in real life somehow. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I think like I can play guitar now a little bit, but like before I could, I was playing something like crazy, and like I knew what my hands were doing didn't match what I was hearing at all, because obviously like,
Yeah.
I don't know how any of that worked at the time, but like I've had stuff like that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I could definitely see like I could see myself having a similar dream like that where I'm like just playing guitar or just playing drums and like nothing else is going on. I'm just like practicing because it's like that's sort of like not mundane, but it's like kind of like a normal kind of thing for me to do. So I could see that. I could see that having a dream like
Yeah,
that.
I think the most like mundane one I've had, because usually mine are like something like kind of crazy is happening, but like my brain doesn't acknowledge that it's crazy. If it makes sense, like it feels normal. But
Mm.
the most mundane one I've had was in high school. I like got up to my entire morning routine, got on the bus to go to school, was waiting outside for school to like open, and then I woke up and I had to do it all over again. It's just like
that
why?
that sucks. Oh man, that's terrible.
But yeah, normally it'll be like there was one I had recently where I had like a moon jump almost, and I could like jump over buildings in this like white void area, and like I didn't process it like, oh, this is kind of like weird, this is happening, or like, I shouldn't be able to do this. It's just like, oh, I'm doing this, and I don't like process it. It's like strange until I wake up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've had stuff like that happen to me too where it's like dreams that are like so detached from reality that it's hard to like even perceive what they are and then you wake up and then it's like you still kind of don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
I don't know if you have dreams with like, or if like people that have like passed away, but this keeps happening where I'll dream about my grandparents, and it won't register me that like, oh yeah, they're dead when I'm talking to them until I wake up. And it's like, how do I not realize that like as I'm talking to them? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I've had dreams like that too. Like again, like just normal conversations, like nothing's happened, but with people who have passed away. And it's like, wait, and then I wake up and I'm like sad. I'm like, man, I wish I could talk to them again.
Yeah, but it's just like what I don't get is because it's just like a present like active thought like when I'm awake that they're not there, and
Mhm.
then I go to sleep and I'm talking to them, and I just kind of forget about that part.
Yeah, yeah, I get that totally.
I think the only time that I like realized it was because one of my grandparents had like dementia before they passed away, and like the night that she died, I was talking to her in my dream, and she was like fine. I like, asked her about it. It's like, aren't you supposed to have like dementia or something? And she's like, no, I'm like good now.
Hmm.
That's the only time I've ever been able to like acknowledge it in some form.
Oh, okay. So you never did. So like, because I imagine if you acknowledge it as a like if you are talking to someone who's passed away in your dreams and you acknowledge it, would that be considered like lucid dreaming or what? I don't know anything about this
I
stuff,
I
so
I I think it would be because you're like it's not real, but like
yeah,
it's weird because I feel like those dreams are the ones that feel the realest to me though. Is when
yeah,
someone from
yeah,
there is
yeah,
like it's like visiting almost.
yeah, definitely. I agree. Like those ones feel a little too close to home.
Yeah, like I don't know if you believe in or any like paranormal stuff, but like I've had some experiences and those kind of like line up with that, where it just feels
Yeah,
like there's something more going on.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's all, I mean, everything has like kind of a spiritual meaning to it. I feel like, there's not too much that I think doesn't. So, and they always say that about dreams that every dream has. So, who knows like what that stuff could really be telling you?
Yeah, there was like one where it was a year after my grandma passed away, and like it was some dream where like my grandpa was being super like overprotective of her like in the dream, and eventually she like pulled me to the side and was like, "You need to go check up on him. He's lonely." And like, I went and did that the next day because it's like if my dead grandma's telling me to do something, I should probably go do it. And like he was like super lonely, so it was like,
That's weird, man. That's crazy. Oh shit. That's what I'm telling you, man. They're watching. Someone out there is watching us.
yeah. I just think dreams are really cool because it kind of guts you into your subconscious and like not like who you really are because I feel like those aren't always representative like what you think, but it's like
Yeah.
stuff like the way your brain operates that you don't ever get to like see day to day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely think there's something to be said too for like how again I imagine you the same way I am, where it's like we're very like imagination based, like we're go get in our own heads a lot about things like that. So I imagine like with dreams, people that are more like how we are very have very you know, vivid kind of dreams.
Yeah. Moving on. So I mentioned this like at the very start, but your most recent release, as when we're recording this, I know that won't be true once it's
Yeah.
out, but
There.
your most recent release is your EP Trauma Response, which features a lot
Yeah.
of sounds I hadn't heard you do before. One track that I was really drawn to was the intro song 1225, which is this super like abrasive and almost like staticky song that kicks
Yeah.
off the project.
Yeah.
And your visuals are always exclusively in black and white. I know I'll have that for this video, at least for your end, like in post. But you're also like you're
Yeah.
wearing black and white right now. Also,
Yeah.
I am too. I prepped for the interview. I had to make sure I had it on. Um, but it's convenient to me because like it's a very staticky intro. Feels your aesthetic's black and white. But that song's date is also Christmas, which would have like white snow.
Hmm.
And I know you talk about your childhood a lot in your music as well. So, what are some of your favorite like memories from winter break growing up?
Oh man, I loved watching the Charlie Brown Christmas special. I was a big Charlie Brown guy. I still am. I loved Christmas specials just in general. I loved the holidays. I loved Charlie Brown, Rudolph, Frosty. Jack Frost, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Bunch of like shitty, corny Hallmark movies that I think are really good too. But I mean, I know they're stupid and like corny, but they have a special place in my heart. I love the holidays and I love Christmas. The only reason it's kind of funny. The reason that song's called 1225 is because that's just the day I made it,
Oh,
and I
really?
couldn't think. Yeah, I couldn't think of like a good name for it, so I called it 1225. But yeah, I'm a big Christmas guy.
Yeah. Were y'all? Did you watch like Polar Express in school too? Because that was a big thing here.
Yeah, yeah, Polar Express was great too.
Yeah. I guess like how do you spend your winter break? Because for me that was like a 2 week period where I could do like whatever I wanted, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, so here in I don't know how it is everywhere else, but in Modesto, kids got 3 weeks off. So we got 3 weeks off for winter break. And I mean, I was always just kind of not to sound, like that guy, but I was always kind of just a creative kid. I was always drawing, painting, like doing art, doing stuff like that before I really knew that music was what I wanted to focus on. Like I would draw just stupid like doodles and little like again like I was saying like animations and like video games and cartoons and stuff like that. So that's normally what I spent my Christmas breaks doing. I also love to playing in the mud. That was my favorite thing to do as a kid was like playing in like the dirt and in the mud. And Christmas time it's raining, so there is a lot of mud. So I would be getting all dirty and greased up and piss my mom off coming in the house dragging mud all through her floors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know mine was spent playing a lot of like Minecraft. Was what I would do a lot during mine.
Hell yeah, dude.
During like,
Minecraft's actually the only video game I've ever really like seriously played, and I enjoy that game a lot.
and that makes sense. 'Cause that's like you said earlier, like that's like a you can do whatever you want kind of game. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
um, like I'll do a lot of that. I'd also during like peak childhood, I was doing a lot of like animation stuff. So like, I would like slave away like all break making animations.
That's awesome, dude. Animations.
Like there was like a day where I think I spent like 8 hours of like, because we only got 2 weeks during mine, so I spent like a full 8 hours making this like 30-second thing that I was like super proud of in like fifth
Yeah,
grade.
were you doing it like? Well, if you're in the fifth grade, I imagine it is like this. But were you doing it like the old school way of like hand drawing, or were you using like Adobe, or
Uh,
like what were you
I
doing?
was using Scratch at the time, if you know what that is.
Scratch. I remember Scratch. Oh shit.
But it's like it was so unintuitive though, because with like Adobe, they have like the timeline that you can like scroll through. But
Yeah.
with Scratch, you would hit start the project and it plays, and you would have to rewatch it in full every time you wanted to see like your
Yeah.
progress. Which
Yeah. It was a pain in the ass.
which like in hindsight, I don't know how I did that because it was so tedious and like not fun. But I would just get sucked into it for like
Yeah,
years. It's like
that's
all I
what
would
it
do.
is, man. I know that's what it is. I mean, like it's not. It gets tedious making music a lot of the times too, and it's like, but there's part of it that's like that tediousness or whatever is like so fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it's like a weird love hate thing.
Yeah. Also, I was gonna ask about this earlier, but like I guess it kind of relates to it. But I've heard that you don't use like any samples in your music, right? It's all recorded by you for the most part.
No, yeah, I don't sample anything.
Like, how does that work, especially for creating like the industrial like sounds that you do?
I don't think my process of like making music and like is like very different from anyone else's. I think I just use different things. Like a lot of the VSTs and stuff that I have are like made for industrial music and like made for experimental weird stuff. So, I've just gathered as many as I could over the years and, shout out Root Tracker and all the pirating sites for
Mm-hmm.
hooking me up. But yeah, I just gathered as many as I could and just kind of taught myself how to make beats. But I really don't believe that my process of making music is like anything different than like the next person. Like I don't really do anything. I just stare at the computer until it's done. It's not really not done special.
Yeah.
But the reason I chose not to sample though, like the reason I choose not to sample stuff, there's a couple reasons. One is I don't want anyone coming after me if I ever get some sort of notoriety for like copyright or anything like that. But also too, it's kind of like a little game I play with myself. It's like if I like how something sounds, instead of sampling it, let me try and make something that sounds like it because then I can say that I did everything. Like I have like kind of a it sounds bad, but I have like a little bit of an ego problem where it's like I have to say like I did everything. I made the beat. There's no samples or anything. I made all those instruments or I made played all those parts. I did the vocals. I wrote the lyrics. Like I have to have that about myself like in order to feel like I accomplished something, I guess.
Yeah, I think it shows though because it does help create this very like singular sound that like only you have
Yeah,
because it's not based on anything else.
yeah, and that's what I hope it does because I try not to take too much inspiration from anything, but obviously, like you're gonna take influence from certain things. Like, that's just how it is. But I try to keep that to a very minimum.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
Yeah.
and then what DAW do you use? 'Cause, like I have a guess, but I don't know if I'm right or not.
I use a Studio One.
That was not even. I was gonna say Ableton. Okay, okay.
No, yeah, a lot of people think Ableton. No, I learned Studio One in school, and I just never stopped using it because it got the job done.
Has that made it like harder to work with people just because I don't feel like most people like use that one?
100%. It's made it like extremely difficult to work with people, but it is what it is. Usually it's just like we just send like the wave files over email and do whatever we need to do. Like there's ways around it, but it has made it difficult just because it is kind of a DAW that people like half of the kids making music now. You talk to them, they don't even know what Studio One is. So it's like it does make it a little hard. And I've even thought about switching to Ableton. But every time I look at Ableton, man, it looks like one of those like hospital programs. Like it looks like some like crazy ass program that they do brain surgery on or something. So I don't know. Maybe I'll switch one day, but for right now I'm happy with where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I feel like Ableton is like I'd love to learn it because I use Logic, but I've had to use it for class a little bit, and it just doesn't like click with me.
Yeah, I don't I've tried it. I got it for free because I bought a MIDI keyboard and it came with Ableton like Live, which is like I guess like the free version of Ableton. And I tried learning how to use it, and it was just like, dog, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah. Speaking of working with other people, though, so as I said earlier in the interview, I first learned about you through my friend and close collaborator Cameron Shull, which is why I was super excited when y'all released your collab album Tear Bucket Volume One back in January this year. And
Yeah,
I think that project showcases a much more like fun and almost like poppy side to your music than is usually shown.
yeah,
And also, that album is just a big influence for me and my friend that have been making stuff because we've been doing some sound design stuff for class, and there's some like songs off there that we've like used as like reference tracks for like what we're trying to do for it. So,
oh yeah, that's sick.
but I guess like how was working on that project? 'Cause I know it came together like fairly quickly.
Yeah, honestly, working on it was like fantastic. Cameron Shull is like a great. I'm so happy that I met him because he's one of the only people I've met that has shared the same vision I have about making music and like the same kind of ideologies. And yeah, I made most of the beats on that project, and a lot of them were actually beats I was going to use for discography, but they were just songs that I thought weren't good enough. And so I rewrote the verses and like rearranged some parts in the beats to make them good enough, and then I would send them to Cameron, and then he would add his verse and add his parts, and he was blowing me away with how he was doing his stuff on the songs, like particularly like I think the song "Calm Down" and the song "Haywire." Those songs in particular were like two of the ones where I was like, "Well, this guy's got something," like because he really he's an insanely talented artist, but also he has like a super good workflow. Like he like is super good at like getting things back on time and when I say on time, I just mean in a timely manner. It's not like
Yeah,
we have a deadline or anything, but like getting things like back to me in a timely manner, being down to experiment and work with a bunch of like different kind of sounds and like I've sent him beats that I thought no one's gonna want to use this. I barely want to use this, and he's like, "Yo, no, like let's use that." And it's like, wow, that's crazy. Like we really, I don't know, we really locked in that winter making that. That was a real fun time.
Yeah, I remember you just telling me 'cause when you were working on it. I forget what the name of the song is, but it's the one that kind of like that. It has like repetitive like bell thing in it that's never on like a consistent like beat. I go to sleep and it haunts me. I know he was telling me that he had like no idea
Yeah,
how to hop on that song initially because
yeah,
there's no
yeah.
like consistent thing with it to like catch on to.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was talking about earlier with the anti-flow thing is it's like that's what's so great about that kind of stuff to me is like there is no consistent flow to hop onto. So just do anything, like just like it's you're free of the restrictions of a normal beat and like you could just do whatever and like express it and flow how you want. And that to me was what made a lot of those songs really good was because we kind of just broke that rule of like we don't need a consistent beat to flow on. We just need some sort of instrumentation going in the background, and then our voice keeps the flow.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool too because I think that's also the best that I've heard Cameron like sound on something. Because me and him like did a whole project together also, which was like
I heard that. Yeah, it was really good.
thank you, but like that was very much outside of his comfort zone, and this was like much more like in his bag. I think we'll still
Yeah,
do like experimenting on something that you wouldn't normally do.
yeah. Wait, say that again. Sorry.
Like I guess like Tear Bucket felt much more like in his bag in terms of like the stuff he's comfortable with making.
Yeah, yeah. I think so too. I think he's like me, where it's like we're very like he learned the rules and then wanted to break the rules in the same way that I did, where it's like we learned how to rap and like keep a good flow and keep a steady beat, and then now we want to break the rules.
Yeah, I did think it. Like a lot of cool dynamic on that project too, because he has that like very aggressive side of his music sometimes too that you usually don't have like vocally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what's really that was what was really nice about doing Tear Bucket was that his vocal style it very much reminds me of like an MC Ride like kind of Death Gripsy style, whereas mine is more of like how you were saying like the Billy Woods like more mellow, laid back, and I think that contrast is really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also thought that it was cool that you were doing more like melodic stuff in this project because like that was how I was first introduced to like your music. So I thought that was like a more consistent theme. And I was to discography. It's really not. So I was surprised that you're
Yeah.
doing it so much on this project.
Yeah, I think because again, like I was saying before, all those beats were like not throwaway beats, but they weren't something stuff I was gonna like particularly use. So I just like was in a different mode, I guess, or a different mood that around the time I was making those. So yeah, I guess it just kind of turned into that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I thought Truth was super cool also, cause that's probably
Oh
the
yeah,
most like straightforward song that I've heard you like make.
yeah, that one was very straightforward. That one I was really inspired by Earl Sweatshirt and someone else. I can't remember their name. They put out a song and it was that song I'm not okay, but I'm gonna be all right one.
Oh
That
yeah,
one.
yeah,
I was listening to that one hella heavy, and I was like, I want to make a song like that, and so I made that beat. And it's like, if it turned out like that beat, like the original beat, I mean, that's up for interpretation. But it was enough for me to get in that bag of like just a straightforward like kind of spitting bars song.
yeah. But I think the way the project comes together, there's just like a very cool energy to it that like, I really haven't gotten from like anything else. I appreciate that it feels very like fringe, like band campy. Also,
Yeah, yeah. That's I mean, me and Cameron grew up on like Bandcamp pretty much. I think so. It's essentially just all we know at this point.
hmm I also know that like it dropped on streaming for like 2 days and then it was gone like right after 'cause you took down
Yeah,
all your music.
yeah. I was gonna put it on streaming, but then me and Cameron talked about it, and we were talking about how we both kind of don't really like the idea of how Spotify and Apple Music and all those platforms work, like for artists. So we decided to keep it off streaming services. But we were gonna drop it on streaming services, but then we talked again about it, and we were both like, "Why? Like, what's gonna benefit it?" You know, it definitely exists more in like a Bandcamp world. I feel like than it would in like a Spotify world.
Yeah. And I guess also like, why do you take down your music as much as you do? Because like I'm subbed to your channel, you're always posting like music videos, and I'll check like a week later, and it's just like not there anymore.
Yeah, that's something I really try not to do anymore, but I'm not successful at it. I have just like a problem with like throwing shit up that I don't think about enough and like then I regret it and take it down. I got to start thinking about it more and like really putting I don't know. I just that question people ask me that all the time and it's like I never have an answer for it because it's like it's just like how my head works. Like I'll just throw something up there real quick and then be like, "Nah, this sucks," like 2 days later and then take it down.
Yeah, like, do you think like discography would ever like go down, or is that like a set in stone?
No,
Like,
that one's set in stone. All that's set in stone.
because I know that a lot of it was like projects that had been previously taken down.
Yeah, yeah, but that's why I released it as discography is to be like, okay, this is the last time I'm fucking releasing these songs, and I'm not gonna do it again.
Yeah, I do also appreciate it as like a compilation, because like I don't know what songs are from what project except for the last bit of it where I can tell it's all from like
Yeah,
the same thing. But it's like I feel like it's better to be viewed as like an experience almost than like a cohesive like thing.
yeah, yeah. That's I've never been like a singles artist. Like everyone always tells you, like when you're watching like all those dumb YouTube videos about how to build a music fan base or whatever, like you got to drop singles and you got to promote them on TikTok and you got to do this, and you got to do that. That's never been me. I've always been more of like a album like kind of person, like, and that's even just how I am. Oh shit, that's even just how I am with like listening to music. Like I always prefer like listening to full albums and full projects rather than like just a song here and there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't feel like my music works in like a singles manner. I feel like it works better as like a cohesive like project, like you were saying.
Yeah. Bandcamp also just is like not the platform for singles at all because you can't even make like
No,
playlists on it. I don't think so. It's like
no, yeah, you can't. It's not the platform for singles at all. But that's like, and then that's the thing too, where it's like I don't want to stray away from Bandcamp just because those that's like where I came from. So I don't want to like move away from that at all. So I'd rather just drop albums than these things. And then it forces me to like actually get together a body of work and like not be lazy about it.
yeah. Um, I also think what you were saying earlier. I feel like a lot of the artists that are like the most respected that blow up like kind of do it off the quality of the music and not because they were just spamming like promotion reels all the time.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think the ones that do blow up, like doing the promotion and doing the like promotional reels and TikToks and all that stuff, usually usually it's not because of the music, it's because of like a quote unquote memeable quality of their music or like
Or like their image or
just
something.
yeah, or their image or just a part of a song. Whereas like again, like I always looked at artists like Billy Woods, like Ka, like Mac Homie and all those guys where they chose like the path of like just grinding it out and like kind of like not gatekeeping yourself. I don't want to say that, but like kind of like holding back a little bit more and building fans that like crave more, like crave you more rather than just the TikToky algorithm kids that'll be on to some next in the next month or something.
Yeah. Especially like my friend Elijah B, like he was promoting himself like consistently the whole year, and he dove to like a little audience on like TikTok and stuff, but none of it translated to his music like whatsoever, even though it was all
Yeah,
about the
that's
music because they just liked like the way he did his videos.
yeah, that's the problem with it is like you become like a content creator rather than an artist like when you take that route and that's like the number one thing I don't want to be is because I don't want to be I left like I said I was doing that when I before I did music and like I left that world for a good reason. Like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, like I think it can coexist in a way, like because like music is like what I enjoy doing the most, but then I also do like these interview videos that are kind of designed as like a platform for both like the artists I want to talk to, but also like myself too. But like
Yeah.
with a lot of stuff and you're just making promo reels, it's like becomes like a split thing you have to do, and some people might only like know one of the things. I don't know. I just feel like it can end up not going in the artist's favor all the time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And there is ways to make it to where like you can capitalize on both of them, but I don't know. I feel like there's like it's a very like thin line between who can do that and like who can't.
Yeah, I'm guilty of this too because there's some guy I watch called like Haji. I don't know if you've seen his videos before, but at the start of every video, he always is like, "Hey guys, I have this thing coming out next week. If you look at the link description, you can look at it early and like all this stuff." And I have never looked at one of his songs. I've been watching him for like a
Yeah.
year now, and it's like I feel so bad about it because it's exactly what I'm talking about. But it's like I have all the reason to care about his stuff because I like his videos and stuff, but there is like no desire in my head to like check out his music.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just like I don't know. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know like what the science is behind that for like how like the brain works, I guess, but it's weird that it's like that and that's why like I don't want to take that.
Yeah. So I think what you're doing is the right thing, especially like you said, you wanted to do it your way, and I think just
Yeah.
like John Project hoping that someone somewhere out there like sees it is the way to go.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And I still do like promotion. Like I post it on my page and I like do like little videos for songs and stuff, but I'm not like grinding the
Yeah,
Instagram reel,
but it's also like
TikTok
I feel like with
reel.
what you make though, like it's that wouldn't work anyways.
It wouldn't know. I've tried it, believe it or not. I have tried it before and I tried it on TikTok and my comments were just filled with this is the worst fucking thing I've ever heard. So it was like, all right, well,
Yeah, no,
guess
I
that
know. Cameron tried promoting like REP on there, which like I don't even think is that weird, but like it just was not the audience for it like at all.
yeah, yeah. They want the like I mean, as far as I know, the audience on TikTok when it comes to promoting music, they want like that like plug and be like kind
Yeah,
of like sound, I think, and or not necessarily plug and be, but like just like the
pop like very
SoundCloud,
poppy.
yeah, yeah, poppy kind of stuff. Like, and that's not what I do. So,
Cause like the audience is definitely there for it, but it's just like reaching those people is the hard
oh
part.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's why I just do shows and like just post it and like because I mean I'm really just doing it for me at this point. But that's how I feel about the shit too. Is it's like I like what I do and I like the music when I hear it when it's done. So I know that someone else out there is gonna like it too. So you know it's like as long as you like it, someone else is gonna like it.
Yeah. And speaking of tiered bucket, so I really enjoyed it front to back, and I think the outro song "Haywire" stuck with me a lot from that
Yeah.
project. There's very chaotic nature to your music, so were some times in your life where things have felt like they were out of control or like haywire that you've since like bounced back from?
Oh man, my whole life, dude. Yeah, you know, school was a little crazy sometimes, and just hanging out with friends, getting into mischief and stuff like that. Shit got chaotic real quick, and I've had my problems with substance abuse and all that kind of stuff, and it gets a little chaotic with that kind of stuff too. So yeah, there's quite a few times I can't really think of specifics, but there's been quite a few times where life has gotten chaotic, but it's mostly due to just the people I chose to associate with at a certain time and the choices I made and all that. My life is much more neutral and like mellow now.
That's
Like
good.
I go to therapy, man. Like I'm not a fucking crazy ass anymore.
Mm-hmm. But would you say a lot
Sure.
of that is like channeled into your music, like as a result of it?
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of it was like I was afraid, like as a when you're younger and you put up with more bullshit when you're younger, And now that I'm older and I see like, oh, that was wrong, or that was not how that situation should have been handled, I get a little like pissed at the past, I guess. And that's how I channel it, is a lot of the times is through music. That's why I talk so much about like hypocrisy and like drugs and like human nature kind of stuff, is because I grew up with that. I grew up and I saw a lot of people do a lot of bad things. And so, and when you're a kid, when you're a kid, you don't have the knowledge or like ability to like stand up and be like, no, that's wrong, because like people are
Mm-hmm.
adults and you're not. But now that I am an adult and I'm like, again, working a job and like doing adult shit, like paying bills and stuff, it's like that was like, now I can see with hindsight's 2020, like that was completely wrong. And I want to make statements that like, no, like what you're doing and what you're like trying to say to people and what you're doing is like not good. I'm not going to be one of these guys that come on here and is like going to talk to you about, oh, I'm Mr. Positive, like preaching positive. I'm telling you that a lot of the shit people do is wrong, and that you won't get a pass from me because I've been through it. I've seen it all, and it's not like, you're not going to shock me. You're just going to make yourself look like a fool.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel a lot of the music kind of translates to.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is also just like with age and realizing like now you have that perspective. Because there's so much stuff in
Yeah.
high school where it's like I just should not have put up with what I did, or like put up in scenarios that I
Yeah.
did. Because at the time I thought it would like make me feel like better or something. But reality is like I could have just avoided
Yeah.
it and felt better by just not
Or for,
involving myself with it.
yeah. And for me too, like, I don't know if you share this similar thing, but I was like, growing up, I was really afraid of confrontation. Like I was really afraid of like causing a problem or
Yeah.
causing a scene and something like that. Now I'm not. Now I'm probably flipped the other way, where I probably am a little bit more confrontational than I should be. But yeah, that was a big thing for me, was to learn like, hey, it's okay to be confrontational. Some things need a confrontation to be dealt with.
Yeah. And actually, I think it's how I confront you about something. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, but in each interview, I like to play rock, paper, scissors with the guests that I have on. And
Okay.
in the last episode, I actually lost to Quare, so I need to replay my honor because I'm down bad right now.
Okay.
But yeah,
Sure.
so it's best two
All
out
right.
of three, and then close
All
your eyes because there's a delay with the camera and whatever.
right. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
All
Rock,
right.
paper, scissors, shoot. We tied.
All
Okay.
right. Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We tied again.
Okay. Okay. Let's go
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
again. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This time we're not gonna
This
tie. I
time,
swear to God.
this time.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ooh.
Oh, there you go. There you
I was
go.
gonna go paper though, but I switched last second. Okay.
Okay. All right. Next
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
Next one.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ooh.
Uh,
So now we're tied.
if,
This is the starting
if
one.
it's
It's the
off.
starting one.
All right. Ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh,
Okay.
I lost
Gotcha.
twice in a row. Ooh, that's not good.
Gotcha.
That's not
Rock
good.
paper scissors champion. Dog.
You know, Cameron also won when we hit his. Oh my god, why can't I speak? Cameron also won when he did. Oh my god, Cameron also won when we did his. So y'all are just really locked in like that.
Yeah, yeah. We're the rock paper scissors champions, dog.
Yeah,
Oh man. Buddy.
I do know there won't be like a, because I know like Tier Bucket Volume 2 was like a thing y'all wanted to do, but I know he's kind of tapped
Yeah.
out of music at the moment, so I don't know what the future of that like looks like.
Well, whenever he's back on it, and if he still wants to do it, we're gonna get right to work. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially the plan. Like, I'm more than willing to do it again. I have a mountain of beats that I can send him and all that. It's just up to him if he wants to continue with like the experimental rap kind of sound.
Yeah, because I know he wants to shift more into like rock right now. I don't know if he's talked to you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he talked to me a little bit about that. He wanted to learn how to play an instrument and all that kind of stuff, which I told him is like, that's awesome, man. Like, yeah, do that.
So yeah, excited to see what he does with that. Actually, Cameron's also part of your like label Cockroach music.
Yeah, cockroach music. Yeah.
Yeah. Admittedly, I'm terrified of cockroaches. Hate them. Not a big fan, which is silly because they're so tiny, right?
Yeah.
But your music, on the other hand, feels just so like huge and like omnipresent, almost
Yeah.
like kind of like swallows you whole into the like world that you create with your music. And there's a very like dark and haunting atmosphere that's present throughout your work. But I'm sure even you have things that you're scared of, even if you love creating things that feel uncomfortable. So,
Yeah.
what are some things that you were afraid of, like as a child, that are like kind of like silly looking back on it? I guess because everyone has those things.
Well, that's why I chose cockroaches as like the thing was because I was terrified of cockroaches ever since I was a kid, and I thought like, why am I so scared of them? Let's make it my fucking like thing, so I got to see it every day, and then I'm not going to be so scared of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like one of the main backing reasons why I chose a cockroach for like the label thing. But yeah, cockroaches was a big one. Spiders, obviously, like just as a kid, I was scared of like just any kind of bug. What else? Oh, dude, I get so scared of like hornets
Oh
and like
yeah,
wasps. Dude, those scare the shit out of me. Every time I see one fly by, I'm like freaking out. Like those bees, not as much though. Bees are chill,
yeah. Because
but
wasps are more aggressive. Yeah,
yeah, wasp and hornets and stuff. Those scare the shit out of me still, man.
yeah. I think why I'm scared of those so much is I went to summer camp one year with these like triplets, and one of them
Mm.
had like a really fucked up eye because like he got stung a bunch of times by a wasp. And I always have
Oh
that
my
image in
god.
my head, like when I think of wasps now.
Oh my god, that sounds fucking terrible, dude. Oh my god. Ugh. I can
Yeah,
only imagine how painful that is. So, was he able to see out of it, or
yeah. No,
like
he
it
could
was
see, but
like,
there was like a very clear like it was like very much like swollen, like messed up, like over here.
okay. Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if you have this, but like I'm terrified of stuff just like touching my eye in general, so that also adds to it.
Yeah, yeah. I have a little bit of a eye thing myself. Like I have an eye thing, and then like a lip. I don't like anything touching my lips either. Like I don't like that kind of stuff. Those are like my very sensitive areas. I
Yeah.
don't like anything being touched there.
Does your mustache ever like bother you then? Because I can see it like drooping over a little bit.
Oh my god, I need to trim it. I really do need to trim it. It's like time for a trim because every time I eat something, I'm getting loose hairs everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
dude, and it's pissing me off. Yeah, I gotta trim it. It does bother me. Yeah.
Yeah. Were there any like shows or like movies that had something in them that scared you?
I remember when I was a kid, I liked the movie, and I still like it to this day, but it did scare me. Did you ever see that movie Nine?
No, but I've heard. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, that movie kind of scared. It was like kind of dystopian,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of. And I now that I'm older, it doesn't like scare me anymore. But like, it's a really good movie. But that movie kind of scared me at first because I was thinking like, whoa, what if the world leads to that? And then I was just like, I was like 6 years old, like preparing for the apocalypse. Like it was like crazy. But that movie kind of scared me. There's more. I just can't think of them right now. But that was like the big one that sticks out is that movie. That movie kind of freaked me out a little bit when I was a kid.
Yeah. Did that also have like the motion track like animation? I can't remember if it was one of
Yeah,
those. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So that probably added because it's a little like uncanny.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. It's got that uncanny valley look to it.
Yeah. This gonna sound silly, but did you ever read like John Stilton growing up?
I didn't know.
Do you know what I'm talking about though, or no?
Yeah, yeah. I know who that is, but
Yeah. But those books are so chill. But I had this audiobook where he was in some like haunted like mansion or something, and the music just like scared the shit out of me, and that so I couldn't listen to it at night.
oh shit, dude, that's scary. Yeah, those I was never big books like would get to me because like again, I have a wild imagination,
Mm-hmm.
so I would read books like particularly like horror books or like, stuff like that, like thinking about it would like scare me because I think of like all the different kinds of ways it could look, or like, and then I just freak myself out thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
Gotta put it. It's about time these kids put the books down and watch some damn TV. Man.
Oh, did you ever read like Goosebumps?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah,
Yeah, those scare me a bit too because they're all like my age at the time that I was reading them. I was picturing like being
yeah,
in that scenario myself. Like I wouldn't know what to do.
yeah, yeah. Those ones never got to me too bad. They never really got to me at all, honestly. Like I never really got too scared of Goosebumps. It was the other ones, like real deal, like what's his name, like JP Lovecraft and like all
Oh
that kind of
yeah,
stuff. Those kind of people that would like scare me a little bit.
yeah. I was never reading stuff like that. I guess for like right now, what I'm most like scared of is that like I can't handle like movie scenes with like knives in them like at all. Like I always have to look away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. I can't do like horror movies too much because I will get scared. I will get my pants, bro. Like those movies scare me sometimes, especially if they're like true crime horror movies, like the ones that could really happen. That scares the shit out of me, and I just think about like, oh man, someone broke into the house. What would I do? You know?
Yeah. No, I know. I think The Shining is the one that got me the worst because that movie is just all about like building like tension and stuff. And I was watching it with my dad for the first time in like 2020, and it was like I think we finished watching it at like 3 in the morning because it's such a long movie. And like going to
Yeah.
bed, like I went to my bathroom to like brush my teeth, and I was thinking about like the guy like chopping down the door with the axe, being like, oh,
Dude, yes, that movie scared the hell out of me when I first saw it. I was like, "What the hell is this, man?" It's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie, but it's like that one's really scary.
especially knowing the backstory now that like the actors really were like that distressed, like making it too.
Yeah, they were all because Q. I think that's a Kubrick movie, right? Kubrick did that one.
I think so.
Yeah, Kubrick was known for like being like a crazy ass. Like he was make them do like 100 takes and then the first one's fine type guy.
Yeah, but I know like I can't remember now. I know she passed away last year, but she had like lasting like trauma from like doing that movie.
Yeah, yeah, I remember reading about that too. That shit's crazy, man. That's terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like making like I don't know, like people look at that as like some sort of like oh like that means the director's like a genius or whatever. It's like no, your actors shouldn't have trauma for making a movie,
Yeah, like,
dog.
you can get
That's
that effect without having them like feel like that after it's done. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you don't need the yeah. That's ridiculous.
yeah, that's always one that stuck with me a lot. I think also,
Yeah, The Shining is a really good one.
yeah. I guess are there things now that you're scared of? Because I feel like those like things
Uh,
change a lot as you like age.
I feel like I'm more like scared of like things, certain things happening rather than like I'm scared of like things.
Yeah,
Like I'm scared of like someone breaking into the house and they have a gun or something like that, or I'm scared of family passing away or something like that. Like I'm more scared of things like that rather than like I'm scared of like spiders or like I'm scared of like the dark or something.
yeah. I think my big one is just like climate related stuff because it's like always looming.
Yeah,
And like I'm sure you know
yeah.
it's because you live in Cali, I'm in Texas, so it gets so hot out now, and it's like it wasn't always like
Oh,
that. And seeing like the
yeah,
real
dude.
time like effects of it.
That's something I worry about too. Is like because throughout history, weather was not documented like as great as it should have been. So we don't know for sure if this is just how things go. Like if climate change, like if like this is like just the sequence of events that it goes in. But if you ask me personally, I don't think it is. I think the Earth is like getting hotter. Like I don't think there is a sequence of events that leads to like it gets hot for like a couple years and then it gets really cold for a couple years and it gets really hot, really cold, blah blah blah, off and on. I think the Earth is just getting hotter, dude. Like I think we're just like we're gonna be screwed if we don't like deal with it. But then it's also like, what can we do? Like, there's no, there's You're not gonna get people to stop driving cars. You're not gonna get
But
people
it's like
to
the thing is
stop.
like we aren't the issue though. Like nothing that like what we're
Yeah,
doing does impact it, but it's like such a small amount that it's like
yeah,
the people
that's
that
very
are
true.
really causing the harm aren't going to change their ways.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're not. There's too much money to be made and too much, things to be done. Too much power to be had. Like they're not gonna change what they're doing in order to save the world.
Yeah, that reminded me. There's something about climate-based fear, but like I live in Houston, which is like an hour or so from like the coast,
Yeah.
and so we get hurricanes like fairly often. It's just like my house being like destroyed by a hurricane is definitely like the top of like my fears list.
Oh yeah.
Like we've never been like damaged by one, thankfully, but it's just like the fact that it can happen is
Yeah.
so like scary because there's nothing we can really do to like control that.
That's one that's on my list too is earthquakes because California gets the earthquakes and I'm always scared that we're gonna have like a big ass earthquake or something and the whole house falls to the floor and shit. I always worry about that kind of stuff. I'm paranoid though when it comes to it when that comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like wildfires there too, probably, right?
Oh yeah, wildfire. Yeah, dude, we just had the LA fires and that was scary. Watching that on the news, it's like, man, everyone's like losing their homes and all that kind of stuff. It's like, man, I pray to God that that stuff doesn't come over here. I pray to God it doesn't happen anywhere, but I really pray to God that it doesn't come here.
Yeah, there was a wildfire warning here a few weeks ago. Cause I'm in Austin for college, and
Yeah.
like I had like I didn't think it would really get too bad, but it said it was like a huge risk when happening. So like, I had like a to go bag, like prepped and everything, and nothing ended up happening. But it's just like just seeing that was very like fresh in my mind of like what could
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree. Like seeing it happen so close to me too, because LA's far, but it's not like far, far.
Yeah,
So it's like seeing that like happens so close, like people losing. I mean, even they were even talking about how Madlib lost all of his music equipment and all that stuff. And I was just thinking, like, man, and that's not even the worst of it. People losing homes and people losing everything. Like that's just a tragedy. It's nothing short of a tragedy. And I really hope that there's something in place for people to sort of recoup their losses. Like I know they have all the GoFundMe's and all that kind of stuff, but I hope something like I guess federal kind of happens because you can only rely on GoFundMe's and things like that so much before they dry up.
yeah. But they're also like defunding like everything right now, so I don't even know.
Yeah, it's oh my god, we could talk about that all day. It's a joke.
Yeah, like I've tried to just not think about it. I felt a lot like happier for it, but that doesn't make the problem like go away at all.
No, it doesn't make anything go away as if you don't. And if you think about it in this kind of way, like the fact that we are even in the position to not think about it just means that we're privileged
Yeah,
because there's people who go day to day wondering where their next meal is going to come from, wondering where their next check is going to come from, wondering where this is going to come from, for their kids and all that stuff. Those are the people that have to think about it because they have no other choice. The fact that we don't have to think about it and we're just like kind of living smoothly, like to be apolitical is a privilege. Like it's a privilege to be apolitical because you aren't affected by things because you don't it's almost like you aren't really living in that world of poverty and of struggling and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that anyone who's apolitical hasn't struggled or anything like that. Like I'm sure they have, but I don't know. It's a privilege to be apolitical because you aren't having to focus on like certain things.
yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's apolitical because it's like I was very aware of like the first month and keeping up with everything, and it's got to be so much that it was just like I can't do anything about anything that's happening. I need to just like tune it out for my own sake because I was just so like stressed and paranoid for that like first month.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's a different kind of story. Like if you're stressed and paranoid and you need to tune it out, that's totally like fine. But I'm talking about the people that are like, no, I don't pay attention to politics. Who cares? Like who does? It's like, well,
Yeah,
that's religion itself to not pay attention to politics.
yeah. It's crazy too because like it's affecting my college too. Like they just got rid of like it's like we're supposed to take all these classes with like certain requirements, and they had to like drop all of them because there was some like it's like a global cultures requirement for one of them that I already had, but I think they had to like with all the like anti DEI stuff and whatever, they had to like drop that, just dropped all of them to avoid like controversy.
Oh shit!
And like there's a class I'm
Really?
taking now that like I don't even think will be offered next year because of all the censorship stuff. Because I'm in like a human
Yeah, that
sexuality one. Professor keeps talking about like how she'll probably want to have a job here like next semester because they're trying to take all that
really.
away. Yeah,
Oh my god, that's so scary to think about because I know like both sides of the spectrum of the political spectrum aren't perfect. Everything has their flaws, but I thought everyone was like pretty good agreement that we shouldn't be censoring things, but like that. But I guess not.
yeah. It was also like because in Texas like college and like K through 12 used to be like separate like divisions of like education, but they like got
Yeah,
merged into one thing where they have to abide by the same like standards, which like doesn't make sense. First of all, because there's stuff you learn in college you just like can't learn about like in school, but
yeah.
because of that merging into stuff that's like no longer like appropriate to like talk about, and they're just having to throw the whole thing out, which is so like ridiculous to me.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid. That's that's like their own fault for wanting to merge. Why did do you know any information about like why they thought it was going to merge it?
I think well because there's always been that like attack on like higher education, just like education in general,
Yeah.
but like they're right, that's the easiest way to do it. And like they're I don't know if you've seen those lists on like words that now get like rejected if you're trying to find like funding for research, but like
Yeah.
so like her research is on hold now, my professor, because it's all about like gender and like sexuality and all this stuff that it's just like not permitted by like the government anymore, which is really
That's
sad.
so ridiculous, man, because you know that stuff whether or not whatever your political view is on gender or whatever, that doesn't even matter at that point. That stuff is important to know. Like that stuff is important to learn. That stuff is important to get into your head because like I always think of like too like with like sex education and stuff like that. Like that's important for kids to know because let's face it, kids are gonna have sex. You know, it is so it's important to have them be knowledgeable about safe sex and protection and STDs and stuff like that. And it's the same with this stuff. It's like people are gonna be people are whether or not again whatever your opinions are about it, people are going to be gender fluid, transsexual, LGBT, like gay, and all that kind of stuff. And there needs to be education about that and what that looks like and what like can help you with that kind of stuff and like figuring all that out because people are going to do it regardless. Like that's just what you're not going to stop people from doing what they want to do and doing what they were born to do. It's just what the world is. So you got to educate them on how that stuff works before they like lose their minds trying to comprehend it, you know?
Yeah, like I don't know what your school had, but like I never even had sex ed because I went to like a Turkish charter school for 9 years,
Shit.
which is so random. But like there was no sex ed like at all, and then I was supposed to have it, I think in ninth grade in my health class, but then COVID happened, so just kind of skipped over that. So like
Okay.
I never had a formal thing. So this class has been kind of cool to just like go into all the little intricacies that definitely wouldn't have been covered. But like so many schools just teach like abstinence or like not going into like anything really. So like
That's stupid. That's so stupid because again, people are gonna do it regardless of if you tell them to do it or not. People, if you tell them not to do it, they're gonna want to do it more. That's how
exactly,
it is.
yeah.
So you teach them how to do it safely, bruh.
That's been like a big topic of discussion in class.
Yeah.
Just so
I didn't
crazy
mean.
that
I didn't.
like
Yeah, I
uh,
didn't mean to get political or
yeah,
anything. It's just
no,
that
no,
stuff.
you're good. But yeah, it's just like even when I try to like think about it, like it's affecting everything everywhere, whether you realize it or
Yeah.
not. So
Yeah. It is. It really is. And now too, we have like the stuff with the tariffs and all that kind of stuff, which again is I know I won't get into too much of that, but it's just I don't know. We're going in a weird direction.
yeah, hopefully it's just a direction and not the new like reality. Like
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping at least,
yeah,
because like every generation has stuff where it's like bad and stuff is like bad for a while, but then it swings back at some point. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will once we get our shit together here.
Yeah, but moving on from that, so I mentioned earlier that you only do visuals in black and white. And what most of the deleter now is saying earlier also, you have a lot of super cool, like well shot videos in that style as well. And it's just very like you're just like a very consistent like visual identity, which I can tell is important to you. So like what
Hmm.
goes through your mind when you're trying to visualize your art?
I don't know. Honestly, like, well, with the black and white stuff, I always find that whenever I film stuff in color, it just never looks as cool or as good as when I do it in black and white. I just don't get the same feeling that I do when it's in black and white. So that's kind of why I chose to do that. Um, as far as like what I try to get through with visuals and stuff, really it just boils down to just shit that looks cool to me. Like I just slap on a bunch of effects and like effect vomit it and kind of try and make it like sort of dark and like sort of grimy looking. And yeah, it just kind of boils down to that. There's not really like a deeper meaning or like anything like that to it. It's just, I don't know, it's just shit I think looks cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think you would ever consider doing like color with your art? I guess we did for Tear Bucket, but that's like a little different because it was a
Yeah.
collab.
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought about it before, thinking about doing some colored stuff, but if I did, it would be like minimal, probably like a little on the pastel side of things, but like a little bit of color might add some flair to it. But I'm pretty happy with the black and white stuff. I like how that looks. So if I did do it, it would have to be like kind of minimal like
Yeah.
stuff.
Ooh, wait, did you ever read like The Giver growing up?
No,
No.
the
Okay. Well,
giver.
in that book, it was like I forget exactly what it was, but it was this very like censored society, and everyone saw it in like black and white, and randomly like the main character, she's like red for the first time. And it's like
Mm,
I think the movie's in black and white also, except until that one part happens. But, like I think it'd be cool if you had like just like a splash of color in there, but only like one thing is, and then it brings way more
yeah,
attention and
yeah.
focus to that thing.
That's what I am thinking about too. Like doing like little dashes of color here and there, and like it'd be the attention. Like stuff like that is what I would probably do is like rather than like a super colorful bright like something like that.
Yeah. And then I think you're easily one of the most like eclectic and like interesting artists that I'm aware of at the moment. And I'm really excited to see what you do next, especially because sometimes you'll do things and they won't even be there anymore. So I never know what to expect with you. So,
My bad.
so I guess right now, like, what do you think is next for Hank Rubeé?
Well, the album first off, that's coming out soon, and then probably gonna try and do more videos, more visuals. Probably try and slow down a little bit on the dropping of songs and albums, and try and drop more visuals and more videos and stuff like that. I tend to not like doing videos because I can never find people to film for me. So it's like it ends up me just being like setting the camera up somewhere, and that doesn't always look that great. So, but I'm in a place now where I can kind of do it more. So I have people around me that are willing to do it. So probably more visuals. Probably, I mean, more shows. Always more shows. Hopefully, some more collabs with people in the future, like more collaborations with like other noise artists or experimental rap artists or just rap artists, like just any. I'm really opening to collaborating with anybody. I'm always like down to do that as long as like they're willing to have me and my weirdness on their song. So yeah, I would say that's what you can expect: more visuals, more shows, more collaborations.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to it. Um,
Oh yeah.
and as the episode comes to a close, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Shout out Cameron Shull, my boy. Shout out you for letting me do this interview. Shout out Unspoken. Shout out the 20916 Power Violence scene. Shout out my boys. Shout out Anoli. Shout out Dave Won't Die. Shout out Tyler LaForce. And everybody else that I'm forgetting.
All right, yeah. Well, shout out all those people, and shout out Hank Rubeé. Thank you for doing this. It's what I've been wanting to do for a minute now, so I'm glad that we got this in there, and I'm glad that there will be something sort of permanent out there for people to learn about you, if they so please.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of your work can feel kind of like fleeting, which I think is cool that it's like that. But this
Yeah.
is like a little like.
Trying to stop doing that. It'll stop eventually. I just the discography and this next album are gonna stay up for sure.
Okay, well, all those links will be in the description down below. So if you are not familiar with Hank and you want to tap in with him, please go do that. Super cool, super interesting. Not like anything else you've ever heard, probably. And then I have a hidden driveway playlist that's on SoundCloud and Spotify. I know it's not on Spotify anymore, but I'll put 3 of my favorite songs of yours like in that SoundCloud playlist. So if people want an intro to your work,
Yeah.
that'll be there too. And is there anything else that you want to say?
No, that's it. Thank you, man.
Of course, yeah. All right, well, I'm Amu. Spin the Hidden Driveway Show. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.